Hey, welcome back to another segment of the Steelers Show. I'm Chris, got Joe and Paul with me. Earlier segment, we broke down the Steelers winning 32 to 25 over the Seahawks last week. Kind of a weird score. Have you ever seen any videos about scoregami? Have you ever seen that in the NFL?
No.
Uh,
No.
YouTube the word scoregami NFL. It's kind of a weird rabbit hole to go down to. They've analyzed every score in the NFL over the history, and if it's a weird score that never happened, they say it's like scoregami. So think about in the NFL, like a 14-7 game is a pretty common score, or 35-7 or whatever. 32-25, you don't see that score end up being that way often. So I'm wondering, is that the first game that ever ended up 32-25? Kind of weird, I'm not going to hold my breath that Joe and Paul are going to be.
I think you're a little more
Googling
excited about what we are.
Yeah. Well, my joke used to be like if a score was ever like 4-2 or 4-3 or some weird score like that. So
I feel like we've had some of those games against the Texans over the years.
yeah, yeah, some weird losses against the Texans too. All right, so this weekend, when is this game? Is this Friday or Saturday? I think it's a Saturday night game, right?
I don't know.
Not sure.
I am looking it up. Oh, 7 o'clock Saturday, down in Jacksonville. Paul, you live in Mississippi. How far away are you from Jacksonville?
I've never lived in Mississippi in my life.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I said the wrong name. Joe, you're in Mississippi. It's getting late. Sorry, guys. How far away are you from Jacksonville?
Jacksonville, I want to say it's 9 or 10 hours, something like that. Jacksonville's way over on the eastern side of the state, so you'd have to get all the way over there. You get to the Panhandle, it still takes you 4 hours or so, but then you got to get all the way through the Panhandle and to the other side.
Okay,
I've driven through Jacksonville.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think I've ever been to Jacksonville before. I would say, so no road trip for you Saturday night.
No.
Okay.
Well, you could if you really wanted to.
I may not even be able to watch the game. I think I'm booked to do some announcing for local wrestling.
Oh. Uh-oh. I don't think it's on national TV. I think it's...
So I can't watch it anyway.
Yeah, and if you have NFL Network, they replay these preseason games.
I don't.
So it'll be on sometime on NFL Network. Paul, obviously on local TV, and whatever local station in Columbus or other areas cover it, check it out. It should be interesting. We talked about last week's game against Seattle. Let's just throw out some stuff we're looking at. I mean, obviously quarterbacks are going to be interesting. I mean, all three quarterbacks played pretty well when you look at Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, and Kenny Pickett. I would imagine, I thought I read somewhere that maybe Kenny Pickett's going to have the second chance of coming in the game. He's not going to come in third like he did the first week. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Anything specifically you guys are looking for? I mean, obviously we want all of these guys to look okay, but...
I mean, I don't know that Rudolph needs to get that much. I mean, unless we're trying to show him off so teams decide they want him. I mean, he's been around long enough. We know what we have in him. Especially if you have a number 4 guy that hasn't even donned the field yet. I mean,
well, and here's the other thing. This technically is the dress rehearsal game. So if you look back in the Big Ben era, Big Ben would only play this game. He'd play like maybe a quarter or two. So, Joe, if you had to pick, how long are you playing Mitch on? I mean, assuming everything goes the way it should, Mitch will probably be your day one starter. If this is a dress rehearsal game, you think, you should play a quarter or quarter and a half? If you were Tom, like, how long would you play Trubisky, Joe?
I don't know. Given the way that he did that with Roethlisberger before, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go through the first half, but I say that partially because what I'm still interested in knowing is how Trubisky runs that crunch time offense, and you can you can play hurry up and you can do whatever and pretend that it's crunch time a little bit earlier. But even playing to the end of the half, there's something to be said for how he treats the clock at that point. I think that's still something I'm interested in seeing out of Trubisky.
I would too like to see. I mean, you don't want to go too crazy for starters, but assuming Claypool's back and healthy, I want to see how all these receivers play together and flow together. Yeah. I mean, you look back at week 1, like I was shocked. I didn't realize Austin was hurt. So they started out with Olszewski and Pickens as your first 2 receivers, and hey, they looked good. It wasn't bad, but I'm like, wow. And I want to see how, what does the offense look like when Deontay and Claypool and Pickens are at the same time? Yeah. Austin, it'd be nice to see him play. I'm not sure if he's going to be healthy enough. How do you use Austin in there? What does he look like when you do a shovel pass or a jet sweep or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Offensive line, I'll be honest, I really don't look at him that much. I know we're not really offensive line students, so we're not like looking at every play. I just want to see another decent game. I mean, their run average was pretty good. The quarterbacks weren't running for their life. Now, again, you're playing Seattle that wasn't really playing that many guys, and Seattle's not a good team. But does that trend continue? I mean, again, don't look at these stats. I mean, I think preseason stats are overrated. But are you seeing running backs get positive gains? Are you seeing quarterbacks not running for life? I mean, if you could even say that, I would be feeling good about the offensive line after seeing this game.
Exactly. Just seeing them create an environment that the running backs and the quarterback have the time, they have the gaps that they need, that kind of thing, where I don't feel like it's a massive scramble every play.
Right. Freiermuth, hopefully they don't play him too much. But I like to see him in action. What's he like in year 2? A lot of things said about how he worked out in the offseason, what would look good.
The chemistry with the quarterbacks would be a big thing too.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Defense, this was interesting. Kind of a bad note from the first week was, and again, there's a lot of reserves on both sides. Steelers gave up 159 rushing yards. And again, let's not get too crazy about the numbers, but Seattle kind of gassed them at different points. I'm kind of looking forward to this, guys, if you want to be honest. They were without a lot of defensive linemen. I didn't see Ogunjobi play. I didn't see Ty Lulu play or Cam Hayward. Those guys are back. And again, with this being a dress rehearsal, I think you'll see the defense hopefully for maybe not more than a quarter. But I'd like to see, with the guys that they missed last year and the guys that are bringing on, how does that help stop the run game?
Yeah, I don't want to see too on either side of the ball with the line. I'm kind of like, okay, if you really need to see them or give them a chance to work together, just keep it to the barest minimum we can. We can't afford to lose half of a line in a preseason game.
But against Jacksonville.
Yeah.
but I'm curious to see, can these guys stop people? And again, if the other team gets a 20-yard run, that doesn't mean the defense is crap. But yeah, I just want to see positive steps being made, because last year they had so many injuries and so many backups that they got gashed a lot. And man, if they get that run defense back in place, they're looking to be really good. Linebackers, we talked about this in the first segment. Miles Jack, he looked fine, but this Devin Bush, Robert Spillane thing, I mean, hey, maybe the first game was just aberration. Maybe, these guys are improving and everything, but man, if you see crap again from Bush and Spillane, I mean, how quickly are they going to try and make a trade or sign somebody?
I mean, just to see Bush somewhere in that pile, other than 2 feet away looking at it.
Do you think there's a chance, Joe, that out of either or hopefully both, Bush and Spillane, maybe it look a lot better? Maybe we're just like, hey, we just freaked out after the first game. Do you have any hope for these guys? Because again, one game, it was a bad game. You think they might bounce back?
I would hope that that's true. I don't know. It's another situation where when you don't have major players playing on the defense, it puts a whole different pressure on some of like the inside linebackers. It puts a whole different pressure on the cornerbacks when you don't have a safety like Fitzpatrick in there. Or, yeah, in there, it just changes the whole temperature of everything. And all the things that you're able to do and accomplish and execute when those stars are also there, your job just becomes a different job. So it's so hard to figure it out, but you don't like watching Devin Bush watching the play and just getting burned when he had the position and he had the angle, but he just didn't tackle a guy.
Any run play up the middle, an inside linebacker should be a part of at least one of those tackles.
Right? For the whole day. He had nothing.
Yeah. Or just be in the mix. Like
inside linebacker. Well, how are you not part of 8 tackles just for the virtue of standing there?
Right.
And Miles Jack, I think, ended up with 2 or 3 tackles. He didn't play that much. And I watched some of the plays he played.
700 tackles.
Yeah, and Miles Jack was always in the mix.
10 minutes.
Right. Well, but he was always,
numbers,
even if he didn't get the tackle on a run, he was in the mix. He was on the ground trying to make a play.
Devin Bush was like the city worker supervisor, just making sure everything was getting tended to. And
what you get into the weird part about it, Devin Bush, the more I read about him, he's an interesting guy. I think I saw a video before the game where he was doing the call-outs, like when they're in the huddle, and he's in the middle. He's yelling at guys, hey, go, go. And it seemed like the guys were, like, responding to him. So he was kind of like that assistant manager guy. But it was weird because the other day, the media talked to Devin Bush, and they were like, hey, could this be a really key game for you? He's like, well, I'm going to be in the NFL either way. And I listened to that, and hopefully Devin was having a bad day or something. Hopefully that's not what he really meant, because if that's what he really meant, I'd be like, man, get rid of him now. Get out, Devin.
Yeah,
that's not a great sign.
Yeah, kind of
that's good.
Overestimating what he brings to the table at this point.
Right. Because I guess Devin's side is, even if the Steelers got rid of him, somebody's going to pick him up. He'll be on a roster somewhere. Now, backup probably, but, it's not like he's out of the NFL or whatever. When you look at Minka or a TJ or a Cam Hayward, I like to see them play a series, but get them out of there. There's some positions of depth on this team, but I can't imagine losing a Minka or a TJ Watt. That'd be awful.
Yeah.
Anything you're looking for from the cornerbacks? I think that's the other thing that we gotta take a look at.
No, I think defensively the inside linebacker is the only spot that I'm really gonna be focused on for this game. That's the one that's really worrying me at this point.
Chris Boswell should be fine. I didn't know if he kicked in the first game, but I got no worries about Boswell.
I don't think he did. I think the other guy who was
Scuba, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they released him right afterwards.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Well,
I missed that.
Here's the other thing that was kind of interesting. I can't remember his name, but we talked about him last week. The punter that was challenging Harvin. Yeah, he got released. And I've read some things. Harvin's looked pretty good. And he didn't play in game 1. They let the other guy punt. But I'm anxious to see what Harvin could do. Harvin was kind of inconsistent. I know he had some family members that passed. It was kind of a rough year personally for him. But, Harvin's got a lot of potential. Hopefully I'm assuming he's punting unless they bring another random kicker or punter. But
he might be put at the inside linebacker spot.
Yeah.
And he was the right size for it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Listen to our podcast and you'll learn more about the right stuff. That'll be good. All right. So I guess that's my thoughts. Saying what happens. It's a preseason game. I mean, once we get to regular season, I think we should spend more time previewing this game. But in terms of, will the Steelers win? But that's not quite the important thing.
Right.
I don't know.
I think it's interesting to look at this game because I feel like Jacksonville is such a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
It has been for several years. So I'm a little curious to see if Trevor Lawrence is going to start showing any of the stuff that everybody thought for sure. This guy is the most surefire NFL quarterback to ever come out of college since the invention of college, and whatever. And it's just been an absolute mess.
They're kind of rebuilding from
trash pan is
scratch.
special.
Yeah.
Down there. So I just, when we start talking about it, if we start thinking about it like an actual game, like, oh my gosh, how are they going to stack up against the awesomeness that is Jacksonville? I can't even imagine Jacksonville doing well.
Right.
I just, yeah.
But really, looking at it from a preseason game, who knows what's going to happen? Because
Sure.
everyone's got different ideas about how long their dress rehearsal is. So you never know. Maybe Jacksonville wants to play their offense longer than the Steelers play their defense. So you might see Lawrence making the plays in the second quarter. And that doesn't mean he's great or the Steelers are bad. It's just, all right, he's playing when the
I just don't
backups
even
are
feel like I have a sense of what it is that I would expect if this were a legit game.
If it was a legitimate game, I'd say Steelers by 7. I mean, Jacksonville, I think, is going to end up being okay. I like Doug Pearson as a coach. I like the fact he's an offensive mind. I think that's going to help out Trevor Lawrence. I'm not crazy about how Jacksonville's going to do to start the year. I think they might pick up some steam near the end of the year. Travis,
I think 7 points is generous for Jacksonville.
7 points total for them?
Well, no, in terms of spread.
Favoring the Steelers by 7. I mean, that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You think it'd be more 14, 21?
Well, I'll put it this way. I think the jury's still out in the Steelers' offense in terms of being a prolific offense. And I'll tell you, that's going to really define how well the Steelers do this year. I don't know if the Steelers are going to be the best defense in the NFL. I think their defense definitely is going to be better, assuming they stay healthy. I think their offense can be okay. I don't think their offense is going to be terrible. But if guys like George Pickens really lights it up, it could become a more prolific offense by far. So, who knows?
I want to see what CJ Beathard brings to the game. He's going to light it up.
You're really into these backup quarterbacks for the opposing teams.
Just there's certain teams, like, do they even have a backup? Who is it? And who is CJ Beathard, or whatever his name is?
Yeah. Well,
he's 28. He's been around a little bit.
Well, here's the other thing I could think about. We're not. There's a lot of reasons why I went to this card last year when we did this show. But, based on the fact that the show aired 10 days after we taped it, we went to hey, let's make fun of the other city. If we were doing that this year, I don't even know what you say about Jacksonville. It's a boring town.
It's the town you drive through on your way to Orlando.
Yeah. Is there anything...
Depending on where you're driving from. Like, I don't think I would be driving through it.
Right. I mean, I don't know what... I mean, there's nothing good I can say about Jacksonville. I don't even know what bad you can say about Jacksonville. Probably that's the worst thing you can say about it. It's too boring to be really excited about, really unhappy about. So
maybe they're the Florida people that come up to Ohio and do weird things.
Yeah. Yes.
Come on, Florida man.
Right. Yeah. Check out our segment where we talked about how Florida people are doing crazy stuff in Ohio. So very good. Anything else to report from the Steelers? Joe, you mentioned a couple signings and releases. I don't think there was anything too dramatic.
No, not necessarily. I mean, the biggest news really that there is the injuries to Miller and to who's the other guy?
Carl Joseph.
And they were saying, not that either one of them were expected to be the top guy at their position, but both of them were solid contributors and people who were going to be good backups. So that just puts a little bit more question out there. They waived Tuzar Skipper and signed James Vaughters coming in from Atlanta as a linebacker. I don't know if he's the solution to the linebacker issues, but that's a move that was just made this week.
I want to have a good third outside linebacker. Because remember, they started with Melvin Ingram. He wasn't happy about how much he was playing. They traded him to the Chiefs. Who's that guy that got from the Cowboys? He ended up the year with the Steelers. Had a fun nickname.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, they ended up with a linebacker that was okay. And I'm not sure who that third linebacker is. So hopefully it's one of these guys that the Steelers brought in. Carl Joseph, he had a pretty good training camp. Thankfully, they still have, Minka and Troy Edmonds. KZ, the guy they got from Dallas, has been playing pretty well. And Trey Norwood, he's got potential. But, man, this is a league where you need safeties more. So it would be nice if they could have had Carl Joseph. Receiver, there's a ton of good receivers in the room. But Anthony Miller's a good vet. He had a little rapport with Mitch Trubisky. So I think he'll be missed, too. So just stay healthy, Steelers. Put the bubble wrap around TJ Watt. Make sure he's healthy after the game. And Minka and Cam and a bunch of other guys, too. All right. Any other thoughts about the Steelers this week?
No.
All right. Anything you guys want to promote? Anything coming up? Paul's band, remember? What's the name? Hot
Metal Horns.
Hot Metal Horns. That's
coming to a casino near you, provided you live in Pittsburgh.
Pastor Paul saying, I'm only going to play at casinos. I've heard of Christian bands in the past that would say, we're only playing at churches. Well, Paul's going to say, we're only playing at casinos. That's it. Crazy casinos. So, Joe, any plays you're going to be in?
No, not imminently.
Okay.
A couple of projects that we're at the very beginning stages of with Floodlight Theater Company, but nothing that's imminent. So,
fantastic. I guess my plug, support local journalism. In the news, Gannett, the big company I work for, had a ton of layoffs. Thankfully, I'm hearing I'm okay. At least that's why I hear. But just support local journalism. It's a tough time right now for journalists. Lots of good things are happening there. If you can subscribe to a local paper, go for it. It really helps out.
I do have news, though. Breaking news.
Oh.
3 days ago, Rick Black posted on Facebook. So Rick Black is okay.
Okay. Oh, man.
And the prayers of many have been answered.
Yeah, real quick, on our other Exciter show, we've talked about Rick Black and feral cats in the Licking County, Ohio area. So, hey, if you're listening to Steelers, we thank you for it, but check out some of our Etc. podcasts. So, very good. All right, I am looking at Steelers Twitter. I'm not seeing anything else. Nobody got traded. So we're good there. So thanks for checking us out. We'll be back next week. We're going to preview the last week of the preseason. We're getting into the start of the NFL regular season. It's an exciting time. I can't believe time has flown by this quick. It's crazy. All right. So for Paul, and it looks like a tired Joe Frost. Joe's ready for bed. And me, I'm still awake right now, which isn't good. I was off for a couple of days. I got to go back to work. I'm too awake right now, which means I'm going to stay up too late and be asleep in the morning. But I'm Chris, and for Paul and Joe, have a great night, everybody. Thanks for checking out the Steelers Show. Have a good one.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Mooney. Welcome to what is our new Hope Interrupted podcast based on the work from our book, Hope Interrupted, that I co-authored with my good friend Byron McCauley.
Hey, Jennifer, I'm looking forward to this podcast as much as I was looking forward to writing this book with you. We hope to interview some high-impact folks as well as have a little fun.
We're going to cover stories of hope. To learn more about our podcast and our book, please visit www.hopeinterrupted.com.